Let me hit you with the question straight up. Is $50,000 in the bank enough? Spoiler alert, it depends. If you're some basement-dwelling Timmy who thinks 50K is a retirement fund, then buddy, you're broke as... If you're a disciplined, calculating savage who knows how money works, then 50K can be your launch pad. But the real answer? Most of you watching right now are either underestimating or overestimating the hell out of this number. So let's strip away the lies and get real. Welcome to Peter Finance, the only channel that mixes cold, hard stats with a little sarcasm and a slap in the face. Yeah, I'm not your grandpa's boring finance guru sipping chamomile tea while lecturing about compounding interest. Nah, I'm the guy who'll roast your broke habits while teaching you how to actually escape them. So smash that subscribe button and drop a like before you end up as that dude with 50K sitting in a low-yield savings account bragging about it at the bar. Picture this. You've been grinding at your job, maybe dodging Karen from HR and your boss who still thinks reply all is efficient. After years of not blowing all your cash on useless gadgets and Starbucks frappes, you finally stack up $50,000 in your bank account. You log in, see those 5 glorious digits, and think, damn, I made it. But here's the brutal reality check. Depending on where you live, 50K is either one emergency away from gone, or the solid foundation that changes your life forever. Let's get real. In 2025, the average rent in the US is about $1,950 a month, according to Zillow. That's $23,400 a year, almost half of your 50K if you're just sitting on it. Toss in utilities, food, gas, and you're already at broke's territory. Meanwhile, in places like San Francisco or New York, 50K doesn't even get you a year's rent in a half-decent apartment. On the flip side, in middle America or a small-town living, that 50K might cover 2 years of expenses if you're smart. So why is this number such a trap for so many people? Let's dig in. Alright, time for some brutal honesty backed by receipts. According to the Federal Reserve's 2023 Economic Well-Being Report, nearly 37% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing money or selling something. Yeah, you heard that right, $400 and they're crying like Chad when Fortnite shuts down for updates. Now stack that against having 50K. You're already in the top tier compared to most broke folks. But don't celebrate yet, because the average American household debt in 2025 is sitting at around $103,000, Federal Reserve and Experian data. Translation? Half the people flexing about 50K in their savings are actually in the negative once you count credit cards, car loans, and those buy now, pay later plans that were supposed to be free money. Newsflash, it's not free, it's just dumb debt dressed in a hoodie. And here's the kicker. Inflation. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that from 2020 to 2025, prices have risen by almost 20% total. That means your 50K today has the same buying power as about 41K back then. So if you're just sitting on it in a savings account making 0.4% interest, congrats, you're basically losing money every single year. You're basically standing still while life's hitting you with the L plus ratio and you fell off. Let me put this in plain English. Let's say you stash that 50K in a regular savings account paying 0.5% APY. That means in a year, you make a whopping $250 in interest. Yeah, $250. The same amount Karen spends on pumpkin spice candles every October. But let's flip it. If inflation's running hot at 3% annually, and honestly, it's been higher, then your 50K loses $1,500 in value every year. So even though your bank statement says you've got $50,250 after interest, in reality, your money only buys about $48,750 worth of stuff compared to last year. That's like filling a gas tank and realizing half of it evaporated while you were bragging to your friends about stacking bread. Here's another angle. Let's break it down into lifestyle terms. Average rent, $1,950 a month. Food for one person, around $450 a month. Car payment, about $550 a month thanks to everyone financing Teslas they can't afford. Gas and utilities, another $400 a month. That's $3,350 a month in basic expenses if you're living like the average American. Do the math. 50K divided by 3,350 is roughly 15 months before your entire life savings is gone. 1 year and 3 months. That's it. You thought you were sitting pretty, but life is ready to mug you in the alley. Meanwhile, smart investors flip that same 50K into assets that can work for them. Which brings us to the next part. Why 50K is both nothing and everything, depending on how you play the game. Comparison. Average broke versus smart investor. Here's where most people mess up. They treat 50K like it's some magical finish line, when in reality, it's just the warm-up. Let's set the stage with 2 characters. Meet Broke Bobby. Bobby's that guy who brags to his Tinder date, "I got 50 racks in the bank," but forgets that money sitting there is like an athlete benched for life. He parks all 50K in the savings account, feels like a king, then keeps living paycheck to paycheck because the money just sits there collecting dust. Fast forward 3 years, inflation's eaten away 5 to 7 grand of his buying power, and Bobby's still driving a 2011 Honda Civic with one working window. Now meet investor Ivy. Ivy doesn't see 50K as a trophy, she sees it as a weapon. Instead of letting it rot in the bank, she allocates it smartly. Maybe 10K stays liquid for emergencies, and the other 40K goes to work. Low-cost index funds, real estate down payments, maybe even a side business. Ivy doesn't flex by showing her bank balance, she flexes by having money that actually multiplies.
Let me break this down with numbers. Broke Bobby with 50K in savings at 0.5%, in 10 years, he'll have about $52,500. Woohoo! An extra $2,500 for a decade of patience. He basically turned into a glorified mattress. Investor Ivy, with 40K invested in the S&P 500, averaging 8% annually, after 10 years, that turns into about $86,000, almost doubling her money while Bobby's still counting coins at the vending machine. That's the difference. Bobby hoards, Ivy builds. Bobby flexes, Ivy multiplies. And let's be real, most people are Bobby. They cling to cash like it's a safety blanket. But safety is an illusion, because while you're clinging to that blanket, inflation's setting it on fire. Here's another way to look at it. Imagine two lifestyles. Average broke mode, 50K in the bank, spend $3,300 a month on rent, food, car, gas. You survive for 15 months. Game over. Back to square one. Smart investor mode, 10K in savings, 40K invested in the S&P 500, averaging 8% annually. After 10 years, that turns into about $86,000, almost doubling her money while Bobby's still counting coins at the vending machine. That's the difference. Bobby hoards, Ivy builds. Bobby flexes, Ivy multiplies. And let's be real, most people are Bobby. They cling to cash like it's a safety blanket. But safety is an illusion, because while you're clinging to that blanket, inflation's setting it on fire. Here's another way to look at it. Imagine two lifestyles. Average broke mode, 50K in the bank, spend $3,300 a month on rent, food, car, gas. You survive for 15 months. Game over. Back to square one. Smart investor mode, 10K in savings, 40K invested in the S&P 500, averaging 8% annually. That's about $266 a month of passive growth on average. That $266 may not sound huge, but think about it. It pays your phone bill, your internet, and half your groceries, and that's without lifting a finger. The average broke person treats 50K like a flex. The smart one treats it like seed money. So when someone asks, is 50K enough? The real answer is, enough for what? To coast and brag, or to build a foundation that sets you up for the next level? The choice is yours. Be Bobby or be Ivy. Here's the thing. 50K isn't the problem. You are. Yeah, I said it. Most people don't fail because they don't have enough money. They fail because they treat the money wrong. Think about it. The average person treats cash like a security blanket. They want it sitting in the bank looking pretty. They think, if I can just save enough, I'll be safe. But savings don't make you safe. Assets make you safe. Cash makes you comfortable, and comfort kills progress. You ever notice how broke people always say, I just need a little more cushion? That cushion turns into a coffin because they never move past hoarding. That's scarcity mindset, thinking you'll run out so you cling harder. Smart investors have the opposite, abundance mindset. They know money flows when it's working, not when it's sleeping. Let me roast some common thinking real quick. Cushion Carla says, I need all 50K in savings because what if my car breaks down? Girl, you're driving a 12-year-old Altima. That thing is already a breakdown. And guess what? If you invested right, your growth money could pay for the repair. Flex Freddy says, I got 50K, I'm rich. No, Freddy, you're not rich. You just stopped being broke for 30 seconds. Chill out. Passive Paul says, investing is risky. Buddy, leaving 50K in a bank while inflation eats it alive is the riskiest thing you could do. That's like saying, I don't swim in pools, they're dangerous, while drowning in your bathtub. Here's the bigger lesson. Here's the shift. 50K isn't an end goal. It's an entry ticket. It's not freedom money. It's leverage money. Think of it like ammo. You can either waste all your bullets flexing on Instagram, or you can load up, aim, and use it to actually hit something. Wealthy people don't see 50K as a finish line. They see it as seed capital because money has one job: multiply. If your 50K isn't multiplying, it's dying. You don't need to be a Wall Street genius either. Low-cost index funds, a rental property in the right market, or even starting a small side hustle. These are simple, proven moves, but they require you to stop thinking like broke Bobby and start thinking like investor Ivy. Here's the brutal truth bomb. If you're sitting on 50K and doing nothing with it, you're already losing. Every month you wait is a month of growth you'll never get back. Money doesn't respect laziness. It punishes it. So here's your mindset shift. Stop asking, is 50K enough? Start asking, how do I make 50K work harder than me? So let's answer the question one last time. Is 50K in the bank enough? The honest truth? Hell no. Not if it just sits there. Cash parked in the bank is like a lazy roommate eating your snacks, paying zero rent, and somehow still raising your bills. It's dead weight. But if you treat that 50K as a tool instead of a trophy, then yes, it's more than enough to change your life. It can be the seed for a rental property, the launch pad for an investment portfolio, the emergency fund that gives you the guts to quit your dead-end job and start building something real. Think about it. Most Americans don't even have $1,000 saved. The Federal Reserve literally reports that 4 in 10 people can't cover a $400 emergency. Meanwhile, you've got 50K. That means you're already in rare air. You're ahead of the curve. But staying ahead requires discipline. Because money doesn't care about your feelings. Money doesn't clap when you hit 50K. It doesn't care about your little milestones. It only respects motion. Keep it working, and it'll reward you. Keep it sitting, and it will rot. Don't be saving Steve clutching your 50K like a toddler holding a Happy Meal. Don't be Flex Freddy blowing through it on vacations and dumb